Next question I had for Martin revolved around the growing complexity of ESG investing. Not only are there a variety of products that investors can use, various third parties are providing scores and ratings. Some investors choose to actively engage with management, while others choose to divest holdings that don't agree with their ESG goals. We have some clients that say they'd like to divest their holdings in certain sectors or not invest at all. Whereas you've made a good case that improving a company's operations on the ESG front can be very helpful. Can you tell us a little bit about the pros and cons of divestment?
It's very popular these days. You see it in the headlines all the time. And it's something that can coexist. But when you think about the pros and cons versus engagement, it's a great first option. Meaning if you're able to keep your seat at the table, you keep your voice, and that allows you to advocate for positive change. If you divest, you lose your seat, you lose your voice. So that's the first point. Second one is what I like to call monitoring, right? You have a really good understanding when you're able to have that dialogue and do it at a high frequency. You have an understanding of the direction of travel for any one of these companies. Are they going in the right direction and there's positive momentum, or are they potentially deteriorating? That allows you to identify potentially mispriced companies in the marketplace or underappreciated ESG risk, and thinking about, are you being fairly compensated for any of the business risks that you're taking? The third point I would make is around risk management. It's just math. If you constrict your investable universe, well then at that point you potentially will experience more volatility in the outcomes relative to some broad-based indices. So by keeping your seat, keeping your voice, keeping your finger on the ESG pulse of these companies, you can identify mispricings, and it's also leading to prudent risk management.
Another interesting topic you've brought up is really the complexity of ESG investing. There are a lot of issues, a lot of material facts that can go into your analysis. We see that third parties put out ratings and scores for funds and companies based on the ESG front. Are those helpful, and are there any pitfalls to relying on those sorts of ratings?
Very helpful, great starting point, not going to get you to the finish line. So what you have to remember is the way that a lot of these third-party ESG scores were designed, it was based on corporate disclosure aggregation and not necessarily something for alpha generation. So there's no substitute for doing your own homework. Now, a lot of these data providers do a great job of assimilating information that's out in the public domain, but it's what you do with it that counts. You have to take that insight, you have to marry it with your own proprietary view, and then obviously you have to be able to go directly to the source, meet with the companies, the boards, the C-suites. Once you do that, you take a weight of the evidence approach. You're able to see it in a much more comprehensive view. And that's what leads you to potentially identify and uncover some material risk factors, but also identify investment opportunities, the stuff that potentially is underappreciated by the market.
Again, as you said, the ratings tell you where a company is, not necessarily where it's going.
Absolutely.